We're going to unpack a really haunting story today, a story about how an entire sea vanished and the people it left behind. It's all captured in this one powerful title, The Dead Wander in the Desert.
So that's the big question, right? Who exactly are these dead that are wandering the desert? And what desert are we even talking about? Well, the answer starts with a very real book and an even realer ecological disaster.
You see, that title actually comes from a novel by an amazing Kazakh author, Rollan Seisenbayev. It's a book that made waves, even getting longlisted for the 2020 PEN Translation Prize. But here's the thing, this isn't just a work of fiction. Its roots are deep in a catastrophe that actually happened.
That desert from the title? Believe it or not, it used to be a sea. A massive, vibrant, living body of water called the Aral Sea. And what happened to it? Well, it's one of the biggest and saddest environmental disasters of the last century. Just to give you a sense of the scale of what we're talking about, the Aral Sea was once the fourth largest lake on the entire planet. The fourth. So how does something that huge just disappear?
Well, the short, tragic answer is, it was a man-made disaster. Back in the Soviet era, engineers decided to divert the massive rivers that fed the sea, and the results were catastrophic. Over 30 years, the entire ecosystem just collapsed, and it completely destroyed the economies and the health of all the communities that had lived there for generations.
And the author, Rollan Seisenbayev, he saw this happen with his own eyes. His words here just cut right to the bone, don't they? This wasn't just some water drying up on a map. It was the slow, agonizing death of a living soul, felt by every single creature that depended on it.
You know, for Seisenbayev, this wasn't just some abstract national tragedy. The death of the Aral Sea was personal. It was a horrible echo of a trauma he had experienced much, much earlier in his life, something that really turned him into a lifelong witness to ruin. So get this. In 1953, when he was just a little 7-year-old boy, his grandfather took him to see the ancient, beautiful mountains of his homeland. A really profound moment of connection that was shattered just a few days later by an unbelievable act of destruction.
I mean, think about the timing of that. His grandfather passes on this sacred duty to love and protect his home, literally days before that very same home is violently shaken by the first Soviet hydrogen bomb test. And that memory, that feeling of the earth itself shuddering in pain, it never, ever left him. It became the lens through which he viewed everything, including, years later, the death of the Aral Sea. It was just another piece of his home being sacrificed.
So this idea of being a witness to ruin is just central to his novel. He connects the fate of these displaced fishermen from the Aral Sea to a much older, almost mythical story, an archetype of endless wandering and suffering.
He taps into the legend of the Wandering Jew. Now, if you haven't heard of it, it's this ancient story of a figure who's cursed to walk the earth forever. He can't die, he can't find rest, he's just forced to watch humanity's mistakes and tragedies over and over again for eternity. And when you put them side by side, the parallels are just, they're chilling. Their Aral fishermen lost their sea, they lost their homes, and now they're just adrift. They are literally wandering a desert that used to be their entire world, forced to be witnesses to its death. The author even connects it all back to that bomb test from his childhood, calling it all a form of nuclear insanity, this reckless, destructive human power that just smashes nature to pieces. In a way, these fishermen have become the modern version of that tragic wandering figure.
But here's the thing, this book isn't just about loss. It's not a story about despair. Actually, hidden inside all that tragedy is this incredibly powerful message of defiance. It's a story about fighting back, even when the fight seems absolutely impossible.
The hero of the novel, this fisherman, gets compared to Don Quixote, the guy famous for tilting at windmills. It might look crazy fighting this huge, oppressive force that probably doesn't even know you exist. But his fight is symbolic. Just by refusing to give up, he brings a message of hope, not just for himself, but for his entire culture.
And this, right here, is the absolute core of the novel's message. The real dignity isn't in actually winning against an impossible force. It's in the act of standing up for what you believe in, the act of fighting the battle. That's the victory.
So that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? When we face these overwhelming challenges in our own lives, in our world, what does it mean to fight a battle that seems completely unwinnable?
What's the real value in that kind of resistance?
Well, Seisenbayev's answer is what really sticks with you. He's making this universal call to action. He's basically saying that to fight for our planet, to fight for our communities, for our way of life, even when the odds are stacked against us, that's how we defend the very essence of our humanity. That's how we earn the right to be called human.